and welcome to today's show where we bring you stories that matter in the society. I'm your host, Linah Towett, and joining me today is a very interesting guest. His name is Ademba, who has been seen featured in the BBC documentary that was trending some weeks ago. He's going to introduce himself and we'll get to know more about it. Thank you. Hi.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm great. How are you doing?
I'm fine, thank you. It's so nice to see you today.
I'm grateful.
So introduce yourself to our viewers.
Hello, Kenya. My name is Ademba Allans. Actually, Ademba Allans. There's an S in that name. So most people get to know me through the Blood Parliament that was aired on 28th of this last month. And the documentary is focusing on what happened during the 25th of June demonstration last year and how it led to the death of people in front of the parliament, that is Eric Shieni, David Chege, Erickson Mutisia, and more other people. So that's how a lot of people get to know me, but I'm Ademba. I've been Ademba all along. I'm still Ademba. I continue to be Ademba. Yeah.
Okay, so what do you do? Apart from now us knowing you through the BBC documentary, what else? Are you a student? Are you working?
That's a really valid question because most of the interview that we do, people are just focusing on the Blood Parliament. There is an Ademba beyond the Blood Parliament. So before the Blood Parliament, there was still Ademba. So beyond the Blood Parliament, I'm Ademba Allans. I run an event company called Vibes and Thread. We did our first edition on 20th of April, and we are doing our second edition on 14th of June next month.
Oh, amazing.
And also, I'm a student at Mount Kenya University, 4th year. Kutoka 2020, I don't know what I've been learning kwa shule for past 5 years. I really don't know. But I'm a student. I'm part of introducing myself. I'm also single for those who are outside there. The deals imejaa sijakata.
Sasa zimejaa, si ndio kwanza venye sasa iwe ni celeb.
I'm still single.
Okay. So thank you so much for that introduction. So like you've said, many people knew you from the BBC documentary. We didn't know of an Ademba. However much I could see in those videos the way you were, but people didn't know, like, before the documentary, they didn't get to know more about you. So I just want to ask you, what was your reaction when you first watched that BBC documentary and you actually saw that you have featured in it? What was your reaction?
You know, funny thing, Kenya has over 50 media houses, and I was never featured in any of them. I was featured on BBC, a world-known media house, because BBC is next to Kina CNN. And me being featured on Blood Parliament, actually I think the biggest documentary happened for the past 2 years, because the last biggest documentary was the one done by Citizen focusing on gun trade and things like that. But this is the biggest documentary, let me say this is the biggest documentary that shaped the conversation for the next 2 weeks since it was released across Kenya and partly across the world. So me being featured, I watched it when it was, the views were I think 10,000 because it was shared to me nearly on YouTube. Then I don't appear in the BBC in the documentary until the 7th minute. So I myself watching it, sikujua that I was in the documentary. Like I thought I had been eliminated. Maybe whatever I said were not making sense. Me watching myself. And going to X kupata hashtag Ademba. That was crazy. Like, that was really, really crazy. And the main thing that came with it is now that people get to know. So there's an Ademba somewhere. Okay, and for those who've watched the BBC documentary but actually don't understand how it is, like, how did you get involved? Ulipata aje that opportunity to even be chosen by BBC? You know, thousands of people were on the street June 18th. The demonstration started. Very true. Then came 25th. Let me say hundreds of thousands because people were over 100,000 per street. Exactly. And a lot of people were doing different things. There were cameramen, there were reporters, there were the normal people, the demonstrators, there were businessmen, there were looters, there were goons. I was also among them. I was a reporter. A freelance mimi mwenyewe because I'm a student, I'm not employed anywhere. And I was just there to record the videos, to go do the analysis and maybe save them for the future. And that is what I did. And in the midst of doing that, came with the urgent call of saving people in the line of fire. People who are, let me say, people who are injured, who are shot, but God willing, got lucky, they were not dead. And also helping the dead. So that day, at the humane call that came with it. So I put my camera aside, my phone, my microphone back, then I started those people. I did it out of humanity.
Yeah.
Then later, apparently someone was recording. You see?
Yeah.
Because it again, when you are coming up recorded, that situation was very hectic. People moving up and down, gunfire blazing everywhere.
Yeah.
You don't know if you're being recorded. Apparently different people, not the same person, but different people were recording. And I don't know how BBC came to acquire all the footages together to find that this is Ademba from this photographer or the videographer, this is Ademba, this is Ademba. And when they reached out somewhere around August last year, actually I thought it was a scam. You know, calling me, the guy was called Betty. So Betty calling me, akaniambia ati he's from BBC, based in London, they are about to fly. Actually they flown. Walikuja all the way. Walikuja all the way from London to Kenya to interview me, plus the other people. I was the main subject, but these people came. So I was the main reason they came. Because yet again, they could just do it online. But they came to interview me. Mara kwanza sikuwa naamini until I did the interview. And even me going to the interview, nilikuwa najua I'm going to be abducted. Because where's leo unaenda wapi?
Exactly.
You know how discreet BBC are with these media houses, such documents. So I did the interview, and I'm just grateful that somebody noticed what I did.
Yeah, very true. So I wanted to ask you on that, like, what were your initial thoughts, like, before umeniambia ulikuwa nadhani wanataka kuabduct, right? So I wanted to ask a question in relation to that. Like, how did you feel like when you were called? Like, what was nini ring in your mind, like, these people, what do they want? What was your initial thought?
Honestly speaking, I was about to dismiss them until a friend of mine told me, just trust them. Because yet again, you don't know until you try. So maybe my initial thoughts was just that the government is using London accent to get to me. Because a lot of people are being abducted.
Yeah.
At the time that over 10 Kenya youths were abducted or wanapotea. And because I was really active on social media, maybe ningekuwa the next victim. But they just gave me the merit to trust them over and over. But the first initial thought I thought it was a scam.
So another question is, can you describe the filming experience, like both emotionally, physically, and even logistically? How was the experience?
Filming of the documentary?
Yeah.
Apparently, for me, it happened for only 2 hours. Nothing more, nothing less.
2 hours?
Like, just me narrating the story.
For 2 hours?
For 2 hours. And you see the part that they used or... Okay, what happened is, when you're doing interview, you're given time to speak. You take a break, you come back, you relax, then you go back. So we did that because, again, I was not familiar with those people. First, we had to ice break, get to know each other and things like that. That's when we started the interview. So, like, let me just say 2 hours or 1 hour, 30 minutes. And I was out of there. I didn't know what was the next step or anything. They were just reaching to confirm a lot of some little thing like logistic, your name, where you come from. And they also visited me in Kibra because, okay, I'm born and raised in Kibra. And I'm still staying in Kibra until today. So, kutakundafuta kama wewe ni DCI wewe kuja tu Kibra utanipata. Nakwambia. So that's it. So, especially here aspect ya pia unatoka Kibera and BBC calling you and the profile that is around Kibera, you know, it makes sense to me. So that's the whole process. The filming was not that difficult, you know, just I think 2 cameras and the interviewer plus 2 other guys were operating the camera and the mtu light.
Okay, so on the filming, was there a point in time where you felt uncomfortable, like on what you are being asked? Maybe ukaona hii kuna venye haiwezi?
No, I was never uncomfortable because yet again, I can say that I'm a very confident person.
I can see.
And those people interviewing me, I thought it was my time to tell the story of how it happened. And trust me, I never knew the documentary would even come out. Maybe it's a cancelled. And since I was already there, the best thing that I could do is give the story. I was never uncomfortable. I did it perfectly. Apparently, nilikuja watch the interview. I was even asking, ni mimi huyu. So yeah, I did it. It went well, and I'm grateful that it happened.
Oh, so a question on that. Did you feel like your voice was heard from the final edit now, the one we've been watching, everyone has been watching? Did you feel like the voice or your voice was well heard from that story? Or you felt there was something they missed, maybe something important, or uliona iko tu sawa?
I want to ask from what perspective? Heard by Kenyans or heard by BBC?
By both. I'm talking about general.
For the documentary to come out and create that spark means my voice was heard. It means that BBC saw that I was doing something better, and I did something that was worth telling the world. So for BBC, yes. For Kenyans, don't know, but I think I create an impact because for a week people were talking about the blood parliament, you see? And the main reason I'm saying that I create an impact is because I get to make people relive what happened 25th of June. I got to remind them that these people died, and it is up to us to champion for justice for them. You know, Kenyans forget, okay, people die, we sympathize and we move on, if you know where that come from. So I got to remind these people that these people died, and there's no way that we are going to sympathize and move on. So for me, that was the main impact that I created, because it shaped the conversation, and it has created the conversation. Now you see people, the online activism, ikarudi. Right now, napata people are planning for civic education, people are doing this, and you go to be invited in spaces that you never thought that you could even get yourself in. Take part in things like civic education. You know, talking to a group of people is okay, but talking to masses, kueleza that you need to take vote, you need to take this, you need to demand for justice, you need to do this. That only tell you that my voice was heard and people saw what I was doing. And the emotion that I was trying to put to the people, that if we get to forget what happened, then we get to forget about the better future.
Yeah, true. So I was seeing online, you see the documentary brought a lot of heated conversation among people. How did it feel being the center of the storm? Because everyone was talking about it, right? Both positively and negatively. We had comments like, mbona mnawasha kitu ilizimika, you know, some really, like people, everyone was giving their own opinion on that. And how did it feel for you being the center?
You know, let me tell you one thing. History is made on the past events. There's no history if there's no past event. Then again, we'll be talking about the future. So us saying that there was no need of talking about what happened on 25th of June was absurd. So me being on the center of the discussion, how I felt about that. I hope that was the question.
Yeah.
Because then again, if you go to X, Ademba is trending. If you go to TikTok, Ademba is trending. If you go to Instagram, Ademba is trending. If you go to YouTube, Ademba is trending, and people are creating other videos. Nilipata somebody make up Ademba becomes a millionaire within one day.
By then niliona umeomoka. Nilikuwa naona watu TikTok wanakwambia eka tukweke kitu. Uliomoka.
So me being on the center, I have to be brutally honest. Fame is good.
Yeah.
But fame comes with a lot of repercussions.
Yeah, true.
And I'm the one person that does not like fame totally. Because fame comes with a lot of things. Sometimes you expect that you are this famous unakaa Kibera. Bro, mimi nitaendelea kukaa Kibera. What about niende kukaa sijui Mudhaiga whatever na nikishindwe kulipa rent? So,
yeah, true.
Me being on the center of the discussion was a good thing for me, because yet again that means that I achieved whatever I wanted. For Kenyans to be talking about the killings, the finance bill, the accountability, need for transparency, need for honesty, and need for better governance. So yeah, it just meant to me that, okay, this thing is now happening. Because then again, if you saw what was happening in Kenya, MPs going to parliament to talk about blood parliament.
Yeah.
That was the best thing for me. In as much as it was, let me say, irritating to them, it was a good call for me to know that now Kenyans are reliving this moment, because MPs were now focusing on other things, the policy maker and everything. But now I get to make sure that these people, you have to remember that Rex Masai died You have to remember that Eric Shieni died. You have to remember that David Chege died. You have to remember that Erickson Mutisia died singing Nyashinsky song. So yes, you have to remember that.
Yeah. And on that, what was one comment like you ever received that really stuck with you, both positive and negative? Ile comment uliona tu like
apart from me being a hero, I don't know, but I like the fact that people get to revive that we shall never forget. That part. If you remember, we were using it last year. We shall never forget. I love that. And the fact that somebody told me, it was not a comment, but it was more of a call. It was a call actually. The mother to one of the late people who were killed in front of the parliament called me. The mother to David Chege, telling me the good work that I'm doing. So it was emotional, a parent crying to you on phone, but it was also good to know that, okay, the information is out there, and for her to know that we are still championing for the justice for the death of his son. That was really impactful for me, and that is some of the motivation that is driving me to fight for a better Kenyan, to fight for a Kenya where a youth is free, to fight for a Kenya where a youth is employed, to fight for a Kenya where there is priority in healthcare, to fight for a Kenya where there is priority in education, and also to fight for a Kenya where there is better governance. So that was a very good thing for me.
Okay, so were you prepared for the public backlash?
Never. Never.
So it did affect you both?
The public backlash, meaning that the people who took it negatively. No. I don't care about what you took about them, because yet again everything comes with a narrative. You see? Even the most powerful or the most perfect stainless politician, you'll find people coming up with negative things about them. If I can say example, okay, I don't want to go to personalities, so let me use the outside personality in areas I affect Kenyans. Africans are praising Ibrahim Traore, but unapata some people are still changing him traitor. So even the most good person, lazima utapata stains. But I'm happy that hakukuwa na any negative thing about me. I personally, there was never any bad thing, a negative thing, because yet again those things were recorded organically. I never knew they were there. So hata wewe uki trash talk, there's no way it could affect me, honestly speaking.
Okay, so you had a goal, right? You had a goal when you went to shoot that documentary. Do you feel like it was achieved?
Yes, I just said it was achieved because yet I created the conversation around what happened. And as a journalist, your work is to remind, keep accountable, and also to check on the government. So through me doing that, I was acting through my journalistic skills, because we have to make sure that the government remember these things and everything. Because the government have a way of making sure that easy vitu zimekufa. Just get keeping the information of vitu kama hizo. And I got to remind this thing happened. That's why unapata MPs kwa parliament wanasema, okay, they're talking about this thing. So that's a goal achieved. Kenyans talking about this thing on Twitter, that's a goal achieved. Kenyans making a documentary go to 6 million within 3 weeks, that is a goal achieved. And also, I have to put it in this way, people relating to me as a youth at a personal level, a youth who is going to bring change, was a plus for me. Because yet again, I'm positive about youth empowerment and change. So people relating to me with that was a goal. And also that my voice in journalism was heard. I really love that. Okay.
So was there a particular truth you wanted exposed? Like exposed?
No, actually I didn't know the angle that BBC was taking in the documentary. I just have to be brutally honest. I never knew that they had even the videos of mtu akiuliwa. No, I never knew. So Mimi, I didn't have a hidden agenda. I just wanted to confront the Kenyan government and to fight for whatever I believe in the principle.
So what's one thing people misunderstood on your role?
In the documentary? Okay, but I have to address this. Most people think that we were paid to be on that documentary. We did that thing out of, let me say, fight for better Kenya. Because if we never talked about that thing, a lot of things haingefanyika. Example, if Kenyans never went to the street last year, kungekuwa na abolition of the finance bill. So that was one thing they wanted to achieve. And mimi singeenda hapo, maybe hii kitu hata ingewaifanyika, because yet again there were a lot of people. Kulikuwa na Babu Wino, kulikuwa na nini, kulikuwa na Nifa, kulikuwa na kulikuwa na
small
sorry. It's just that
yeah, okay.
Kulikuwa na Nifa, kulikuwa na Boniface Mwangi,
Mwangi,
kulikuwa na
yeah.
Babu Wino, and the lady from LSK.
Odhiambo.
Yeah, Odhiambo was there. So I'm grateful that Mimi, being the most minor person, I'm a minority person, got to be heard more than these people. I told you, I have to be brutally honest. I love the fact that they gave me that voice. The BBC waliona tu kama mimi ni another person, but what Kenyans saw was different.
Okay, so looking back, would you still agree to be part of such a project? Looking at what it has done.
150%.
150%.
As long as it's going to bring change, I'm pro it. Yes.
So what lesson have you learned about people, systems, and even yourself?
What I've learned from people is that people need something that triggers them to do something. Because the conversation was already being forgotten. Once the documentary came into it, wakaanza kuongea. And I'm also happy that the documentary ilikuja wakati wa there's another finance bill that you're about to brought to the people of Kenya.
Yeah.
I'm really happy about that. And from the government of Kenya, what I've learned about them is the government of Kenya, just have to be brutally honest, are ignorant on things that are affecting the normal Kenyans. Because yet again, if you see the comment that the government made, I really love whatever Millie Odhiambo said about the finance bill. I really love the way she took it, but I don't love whatever the other politicians did. Millie Odhiambo watched the documentary, analyzed it, and talked on it or commented on it as somebody who is intellectual, and I really love that.
Okay, so if you could speak directly to those people who criticized you, what will you tell them exactly?
Actually, nobody criticized me. I just have to be again. I as an individual, nobody criticized me. People criticized maybe BBC. Maybe I received love and a lot of appreciation from Kenyans, from heroes to whatever. Maybe nobody criticized me. So what I can tell you is that thank you for accepting me as part of the documentary and making my voice heard.
Okay, and what's that one takeaway you'd want people who've watched that BBC documentary to take home?
Never forget
Never
that
forget.
those people died. Continue championing for justice and continue championing for accountability in the government. Continue championing for better governance and continue championing for what you believe in, right?
Okay, so where do we go from here as a society, especially now that the curtain has been pulled back on these issues? Where do we go as a society?
Mimi, I'm going to talk as a youth. First of all, where we go as a society. I've been in the recent. I've been championing for people to take part in the general election that is about to happen in 2027.
Yeah.
So as a country, what we are going to a place where, okay, what I think, we are going in a direction where I will see, like, let me say 90% of the government positions are filled by youths, young people vying for these seats, so that we make the change that we want. I usually say this and I will always say this. The government is a reflection of who we are, because we are the people who elect them in parliament. We are the people who elect the president. We are the people who elect the MCS, the governors, the senator. So if we want a better government, then we have to take part in the process of making the better government. We have to take part in electing those politicians. We have to take part in electing those MPs. We have to take part in doing scrutiny on this finance bill. We have to take part in doing things that affect us as the public. So that is where we are headed from the finance bill. From the blood parliament.
Okay. So speaking of the finance bill, what do you think about the finance bill? And another question on that, do you think that it's also, we're going to see another maandamano?
Oh, finance bill 2025.
Yeah.
Finance bill 2025 is yet to be tabled through the parliament, for the parliament.
Yeah.
But if you've gotten your hands on it, it has a lot of things. And honestly speaking, hakuna mtu amesoma yote sahi. But the things that I've taken is that there are things on the taxes, the government have tried to work on it. Unapata kuna tax exemption, unapata kama the 16% VAT imekuwa reduced on some things that are going to affect the normal Kenyans. But there are also other things like data protection and that government accessing your data on things like financial transaction, maybe M-Pesa and things like that. That's the only negative thing about it. I'm very ish about it, because why would you want to have my financial records? Yet again, I'm filing KRA.
Yeah.
Because you've already put a system for me to file my returns. You've already put a system that is auditing, because if you are into certain businesses, kuna kwa na auditors who come into play to audit. Why again would you want to have money? I don't understand it. And on people going back to the street, the finance bill is something that can take you 1 week to read. If the Kenyans are going to analyze the finance bill and find that it's going to affect them, then maybe they have to make the call. And right now, it's good that we don't have to be in the street to make a demonstration. Online activism has grown to a level that we cannot comprehend right now. Because last year, people were on space for 12 hours. So just being online is okay. And I wouldn't comment and saying that people are going to be on the street, because I don't know, I can't read the mind of the people. And if I said that, what I say, oh, this guy is inciting people. You see, you know the government of Kenya and misinformation and misinterpretation of things. So nikisema tu watu on the street, no. But if people are going to go through the finance bill and see that it's good, then it's okay. If not, I don't know what is going to happen. Okay,
so lastly, I want to know, like, who is your safe space when things get overwhelming? Like, this whole thing has been overwhelming, right? So who has been that one person or your safe space? Ama when you got this.
One thing I have to say that a lot of things don't get through me, but I'm glad to have a group of people that I talk to, friends, family.
Very
one
important.
of them is right there. So I'm glad that I get to have people that I'm talking with, and I'm glad that Kenyans walituma za cabbage and I get to pay for therapy na vitu kama hizo. So yeah, mimi, I know it's overwhelming, the fame, but yet again I'm the most normal person, because siwezi sema because now fame imekuja nianze na kuja TV47 na Uber, no. No, mimi nitatembea town, nipande matatu, utapatana mimi, utanisalimia, and tutaongea, and I will get to school you on things that you want me to school you on about. But the fame is there and everything, and just to add on, it may be overwhelming on both negative but mostly positive. So I don't know, let's explain the positive part of it, aspect of it. Okay, right now people relate with me as Ademba. Kitamba wako na relate na mimi. So napata, like, before that watu wako na buy whatever was selling, maybe nikijaribu kuchampion for different things. Right now the amount of people that are trying to get in contact with me is crazy. So that's why hata nikisema I usually do fashion events. I usually do fashion events, and people are now buying tickets to these events. So the event is called Vibes and Thread. It's all about vibes and threads. So you know, Nairobi is full of culture and partying, fashion, let me say, and everything like that. So people wanaanza kurelate that people just want to be in contact with you. Actually, I have a talk right here. So this is the event. Iko na watu unapata, like the last one ilikuwa na only 150 people bought tickets. Unaelewa?
It's really nice.
Right now we are looking at maybe 400 people, because now what wanna buy. The people who are coming, it's crazy, but I really love it. And ndio nakuwa kwambia fame is good. Fame is good. For me imekuwa poa. But negative things. That's why hata nikipata na mtu kwa street, we just ongea casually, because it again it's how you relate to these people.
Exactly.
Nikipotea sana watu watashangaa what is happening. And I'm also happy that sahi naweza weka kitu, naweza post kitu hata siongei kitu inaenda viral. So
okay. Thank you so much, Allans Ademba. It has really been an interesting conversation. Maybe you just have something small, just a brief thing you can tell our viewers on camera about this whole thing.
I just want to address the entire Kenya, not only your viewers.
Our viewers are Kenyans.
Yes. So to the entire Kenya, I have to say this. We have 2.5 years to make change. And this change we are going to make by doing some of the most simple things. Registering as voters. Doing civic education to people. I'm actually part of the people doing civic education and going across Kenya, trying to champion for people to know what is supposed to be happening. And we are also the people who are going to determine who is going to be in the office come 2025, within 2.5 years. 2027, not 2025. So we have 2.5 years to make change. Please make sure that you partake in activities that make the most crucial and most, let me say, good government that we've ever had. Make sure that we have a government that will be accountable and everything like that. Make sure that you vote the right president, the right MP, the right governor, the right senator, the right MC and the right women rep. So those 6 dockets, make sure that you do the right thing. Usidanganye na 200 bob.
Yeah, okay. Thank you so much once again, Ademba. It's really been interesting. And to our viewers back at home, you've heard whatever Ademba said. Let us turn out 2027 and make the best choices that we will not regret. Otherwise, keep it TV47. Subscribe to our YouTube channel for more engaging content. Till next time, bye.